Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home and Away, a podcast devoted to all things in and around the world of sporting Kansas City soccer. I am Drew Vanderpool, joined once again, as always, by my good friend Cody Welton. This week on the podcast, Sporting Kansas City and the Houston Dynamo participated in the Who Cares Less About This Game derby on Saturday night, which sort of appropriately ended in a 0-0 draw and saw this season taken out back behind the shed and put out of its misery. There were no players on the injury report, which meant we might perhaps see the best version of this team possible in Kerry Zavagnan's eyes, but instead it seemed like a last hurrah for a few out-of-contract players and several I'm just here so I won't get fined performances. It seems clear that the upcoming culling of the roster is well understood by many of those players and staff at this point, and perhaps we can all start to move on soon when these announcements are made. In other news, the Current finally lost a game, thanks in no small part to Temwa Chawinga coming off with an injury in the first half. Man, this podcast is going to be a lot of fun, isn't it? The MLS playoffs are kicking off tonight with the play-in games, so we'll take a look at the matchups and what we're potentially looking forward to see there. Cody, we had a clean injury report for perhaps the first time all year, and it gave us a look at what Zavagnin would do with such resources at his disposal, and apparently that meant Nemanja Radia Zoran Basong double pivot. Manu Garcia started at the 10, and I thought was marginally effective at best. Perhaps wasn't fully fit because he came off at halftime for Santi Munoz.
Yeah.
But
who proceeded to do nothing.
Nothing as well. Actually, even less than Garcia did in the first half.
Yeah.
Outside of a few headed shots, a couple from Montez on corner kicks, the late sort of deflected header by Joveljic in like 90+7, it wasn't like Sporting gave us a whole lot of hope that a goal was coming.
No, they were bad. This was two really bad teams playing each other really, really poorly, right? And it's like Houston came in, looking to I don't know, looking to play for a draw because you draw on the
that
road
was the
in
most
MLS.
Absurd thing to me. Like,
it's just like
who plays for a draw when neither of you have nothing to play for?
I don't know, man. I don't freaking know. But
they fouled so much in the first half trying to take the air out of the game, and I'm just like, and then started time wasting in like the 60th minute.
The fouls were absolutely absurd, honestly. Like, come on, like, what are we doing here? But whatever. It doesn't.
I mean, this is effectively a friendly.
It kind of was. But, neither team seemed like they really wanted to score all that much. I mean, neither team had over, one expected goal, and neither team really even acted like they were willing to, take big chances. And, Sporting, playing that midfield is just, it's like a white flag, right? It's like there's no creativity on the team whatsoever, especially once Manu went off the field. And so, like I don't know. I mean, my expectations were really low, and I was just out there to have a good time and freeze my ass off so that I could justify buying a new sweatshirt, which is really awesome. And that was it. Like, that's like the highlight for me. Like, the game meant nothing to me. It was just I checked out.
Did you get that cool sweatshirt that Mark Kapfer got? Is that the one you bought, or did you get something else?
Yeah.
Did you buy the same one?
Not only did I get it, but I brought it. My wife was waiting in line. I brought it up to the line, and she's like, "Oh, you got to go back and get me one too." We have matching sweatshirts.
At least we have cool gear. Like, that's all we could say. Kapfer was actually on the jumbotron during halftime, wearing said sweater. That was how he put it in the Discord that he was buying it, and then I'm like, I look at the screen and during the middle of halftime, and there he is sitting there wearing it. So
that's
great.
And
frankly,
like I wore that to work yesterday, and I got so many compliments on it by people who don't even know who, like.
Listen, we got to find something positive with this season.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Like, make cool gear like that. That did the trick.
Historically, but that was not a problem for this club. They were actually pretty good with the merch.
True,
but yeah,
very true.
I agree. Yeah,
but that was by far the highlight of the game. The game itself was, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was like two teams who could barely get out of their own way. They weren't generating a lot of chances. It was really frustrating, as you mentioned in the first half. It was just foul after foul after foul. It was like what is the point? This is not a playoff game, right? Like that's kind of how it felt. Like this was a 2-leg playoff game, and Houston was coming in playing for a draw. Like that's the way it felt. It was just silly, and it was not very entertaining. And I am just like I'm so grateful that the season is over and we can wash our hands of this team and sort of move on with as really as close to a clean slate as you can with a pre-existing team. So like that was the takeaway for me. And I don't think there's really much to be gained from looking at anything else in this team. I mean, we didn't learn anything. Like both of us, I think, had arrived to the point where Zvagnin was not our choice to be coach next year. And this absolutely sealed that. And none of the players who are sort of maybe bubble players. I don't think none of them made any case to stick around the team. So it was just like a whatever game, man. It was the fitting end to the season, quite frankly.
I mean, it was a shutout. It was the first shutout since May.
Go Pulscap, yay.
He did save half a goal in this game.
He did.
Yeah. He made a couple nice saves in this one, so good for him. The last time Sporting had a shutout was in May, and it was the away game in San Diego where they took no shots. So that was also a 0-0.
That was the key all season long. Who knew we could get shutouts? Just don't take any shots.
This one they took some shots, but it wasn't like they were threatening.
Yeah.
And so this was the other thing. The game state was such that it was going to be like you got to get one off a set piece, you got to get one off a and I did appreciate that as soon as Jacob Bartlett came in this game, every throw in the final third was a long throw with Bartlett. I mean, there was one that happened kind of right in front of me, and I was waiting for him to come over, and it looked like another player was going to grab it, and Shallowy had the armband. He was like, no, and he told Bartlett to come over and say, hey, do the long throw. So, like, they were trying to do things that might create a scenario where they might score. But up until Bartlett and Davis came on, there was nobody that could deliver a set piece.
Yeah.
So it's like you choose this lineup in the hopes of, I don't know doing what. I really don't know what they were attempting to do. This has been a conversation we've had for several months about Zvagnin, and I don't know what this team is meant to do on the field. Like, I really don't have an idea of what their plan is when they're out there.
Yeah.
They're just sort of yard balling it in a formation.
Yeah.
But even if set pieces were something they were attempting to do, they didn't have the people that could do it. And again, they were not consistently finding Montez. I went to the game with Nolan, and I was commenting, I think the very first corner was a back post corner. I'm just like, why are we doing this? Why are we continuing to do this? And then the next time they got a corner, it went central, and Montez got his head on it for a decent headed shot. And I'm like, why aren't you trying to do this every fucking time?
Yeah.
This doesn't seem like complicated to me.
But I think it is. I think they're just overcomplicating it. Like that's all I got, right? Like it is sometimes.
Is it overcomplicated though? Because I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know what they're doing. I mean, definitely, trying to drive it to the far post, that's overcomplicating it. It's literally just.
But there's nobody there.
Hey man.
I can sort of understand the back post, like cutback header thing. Like you see some teams do this.
Right.
But there's no one there.
No.
It's a back post corner to no one.
Maybe it's just muscle memory from playing those under Vermes for so long. I don't know. But there's no point. Like
anyway,
I'm getting
no
upset
point about a game that didn't matter, and I don't know why. Because I desperately want to see competent soccer, and I just feel like some of these things are so simple, and It's just maybe the players just aren't good enough to execute what's being told to them. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. But
I think it's a whole thing, right? I don't think there are good players. I don't think the coaching staff is good. I don't think that the coaching staff is robust enough, and they haven't been all season. It is literally, it has been an absolutely pointless season. The only point to this season is transitioning away from the Peter Vermes years, and that's it. There's really nothing else to take away, other than Sporting Kansas City lucked into a fantastic deal with Dejan Joveljic, and they have a competent midfielder in Manu. That's really about it. Like everything else, like I'm sorry, the season was absolutely pointless in all other respects.
And maybe that's the thing that's the most irritating to me is that, and probably the thing that will sour me the most on the Peter Vermes tenure in charge of this club is the position he put this roster in, such that they were just forced to eat shit for 2 years.
Yeah. I think that's completely fair, honestly. I mean, that they're they I guess
like
another,
it's borderline malpractice how bad this
totally
team was
agree.
constructed.
Totally agree. Another, like, I guess semi-positive thing is playing lots of young players, but I don't think that was like, I don't know that was the plan, right? I think
No, they had to because they had no other options.
Right, and so
I don't think Jacob Bartlett is really that good. I just think
the signs are pointing to no on that. Kind of like the whole Pulskamp thing. Like there was a glimmer of hope, but I think it's trending in the wrong direction for sure.
I mean, I'm glad that Pulskamp had a decent game. Like he was man of the match on FUT.
Yeah, that's wild. I just opened it just a little while ago and noticed that. I was like, oh, shit.
Getting a shutout will always help. Will always bump your goalkeeper score into the high sevens. But the couple big saves that he made were noteworthy, and so he ends up with a pretty high rating in the game. I thought, for as grumpy as I was when I saw Radia was getting the start in this game, I thought he played his best game in months for the team. I mean, he did. He was very. I got to be honest, man. Like, and this is. I'm not trying to find something good. I really am not. I was surprised how active he was and how active he was in getting into duels and winning the ball and like actually trying to be a defensive midfielder. It was the most activity I'd seen. I mean, I actually had to look back at it because I thought it was his best game all year. And statistically, it was his best game since the Minnesota 3-3 draw, the comeback draw with the orange ball. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, in that game, because I had to look at the stats, he won 100% of his duels. He was 17 for 17 in that game against Minnesota, which is an absurd stat for a defensive midfielder.
That's amazing.
He was something like 11 for 16 in this one. And that just shows us an extra level of activity that he's had. Like, that has been one of the things that's frustrated me most about him over the last several months is just like the complete sort of just nonchalance at which he was playing.
Yeah.
And I did not see that in this game, which was weird. Like, all of a sudden we see him play like a player that gives a shit.
No, I don't think it's weird. I think he's playing against a crappy opponent who also doesn't give a shit. Like, I don't think it's like, you can read much more into it than that.
Well, but I mean, him intentionally running in and trying to get into tackles, I can see the difference between that and regardless of the quality of the opponent.
Well, so I mean, I noticed him in other games trying that, but teams were just playing around him, and he was just chasing shadows because he didn't have the game knowledge or the athleticism to be in the right place at the right time. So I don't know. I don't know. But either way, I'm grateful that he's not going to be here next year because he's not good.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not worth the compensation that he's being paid, which in a salary cap league is obviously a really big thing. I was also I was glad to see Jansen Miller back in the starting lineup, but I was not happy with his performance at all.
No.
I thought he was pretty poor in this game. A lot of really bad turnovers,
Yeah.
a lot of sort of loose play that are undisciplined play, I would say.
When you barely play for 6 weeks, you know, that's I don't know, like you tend to lose an edge, right?
Yeah, or maybe play too hard because
Sure,
you
trying to
haven't played.
overcompensate.
Yeah, you're trying too hard, and I don't know. It was not
I
very good.
he has not played well since he shaved his hair, so I'm not saying, but I am saying.
I mean, he didn't have that much left before he shaved it.
I know.
We gotta maybe he's gotta.
I mean, he made the right choice fashion wise for sure, but I'm just
Yeah.
correlation's not causation, but I'm just saying there might be something there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much more we want to talk about performance. I thought Montez was decent in this game, but I mean, it's like whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
He's fine. I like, this is a podcast where we talk about this team, and I don't even want to talk about them because it was depressing. Like, the game was depressing.
Bad. It was depressing to soccer to watch, but like I said, the silver lining is that it was the last game and this season is over and done with.
Yeah.
And hopefully it will only live on in memories because these players are not going to come back, and that could be that we can wash our hands of it and look forward to a new CSO putting his stamp on the team. And I think that's a big part of it too. I was surprised that they didn't make more of a deal of that at the game. But again, I mean, I kind of understand that too, I guess, because it's a CSO who the run-of-the-mill fans don't give a shit.
Oh, like announcing him as the thing?
Yeah, something having come out, like,
I mean,
yeah, it's not worth that.
I just don't think how many fans in the stands actually have any idea who he is, and
Yeah, probably few
care. I mean, I think obviously the listeners of this podcast are quite tuned into that stuff, but I think for the majority of the people there, I don't know that would mean much to them.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, I just have my fingers crossed that there aren't any surprises coming regarding options or
I am prepared.
Still negotiating with.
I am prepared for like small surprises.
What would be small surprises to you?
Small surprises would be like, I don't know. Like, I guess, like, bringing Montez back. That would be a smaller surprise. I am not prepared for big surprises. Like, I don't know, Kyrie Shelton coming back, or no.
Tim Leibold?
No. Like that, I might bust out the pitchforks if that happens. So yeah, I mean, like, and Zvagnin coming back. I mean, that at this point would be a huge surprise, and it would displease me.
It would be very
frankly.
surprising to me as well. I don't get the feeling that is the attitude amongst the decision makers to bring back players that we would expect to be leaving. Or do I get the feeling that Zvagnin is high on a candidate list to be retained as a head coach? Like, that is not the feeling I get. My feelings could be completely off, right? That's why they're feelings, right? They're not based in any type of very specific information. They're more based on just, me reading between the lines of things that I've seen and heard. But and also kind of reading the vibe of what's going on around the staff and whatnot. I like, there's a press conference tomorrow. We're recording this on Wednesday. There's a press conference tomorrow with Zvagnin and David Lee, but I really think that that's just the normal postseason debrief. Is all it is, the media availability for postseason debrief. They're gonna announce the player decision soon. Some teams have already done it, Houston being one of them. St. Louis has already done it. According
I was going to ask if the press conference is before or after the first postseason practice.
That was an interesting way that was framed by the St. Louis front office, that they had to publish these decisions now because they had postseason training, and were required to make these decisions prior to the postseason training beginning. That's a new one on me. I was not aware that you had to make these decisions in lieu of any postseason training regimen. I think the CBA requires that the contracts go through the end of your season, and the end of the season for MLS teams is either November 26th, which is the roster, which is the date that you have to exercise options or not, or for teams that are deeper in the playoffs, whenever they're eliminated from the playoffs.
Right.
So now Sporting went pretty deep last year into that window before announcing decisions, and according to Daniel Sperry, did have several post-season fitness, like training events.
Yeah.
And it seems like maybe the league has stepped in and said, hey, you can't keep these guys around and make them continue to train with you if you're planning on letting them go. So right. you need to make those. That's what it feels like has happened here. It's still, like, from St. Louis, it's a wild choice. They have no head coach or CSO. And they're just making a bunch of decisions on picking up options and declining others. I think they've got like 20 plus, like 25 or so under contract, or between the ones that they picked up and the ones that they're negotiating with to come back already. It's gonna be like 25 players return.
That should make it super easy to bring in a good head coach.
Well, chief soccer officer, like who wants that job when they have literally zero flexibility next season to make any influence on the roster?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we're done laughing about St. Louis. Well, we're never done laughing about it, but we're gonna stop for now. I think. I don't know that these decisions will be announced by the time of that press conference. It would be kind of weird to do it. And then, I mean, I guess they could do it either way. But I think that those decisions are coming very soon.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be November 26th at all. So we'll see what they are. And obviously we'll be able to discuss them at that time. But I don't think any of them will be that surprising. I'm sure one or two will be retained that... might raise an eyebrow, although I'm not sure. I don't know. The more I hear from people inside the building, the less I think there's going to be. I think David Lee's going to have a pretty clean slate to work with here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's his choice as to how clean the slate is, right? Like, he can decide, even if they're recommending this one or that one, he can be like, nah, we're not keeping them either.
Well,
so.
if he watched the same team that we watched over the last 6 weeks, then I think his decisions were made pretty easy.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure he's gotten some sort of we know he likes to use data to analyze performance. And I'm sure that they've gotten a hold of some sort of contracted data that gives him the look that he wants to see on that as well, and to ensure that his eye test is informed by numbers as well.
Yeah, the data I would suggest is less flattering even than the eye test, and so
it is it's really bad. So Paul Harvey put a thing up on his Blue Sky. Paul Harvey is one of the ASA guys, but also covers New York City FC. And he sometimes he's also published some really cool like Tableau dashboards. If you're really into the nerdiness, especially the ASA database, the information in the ASA database, it's a pinned post in his Blue Sky profile that gets you to them. And there's all kinds of interesting data and information you can pull in there. And one of those that ASA has been tracking for a while is something that they call. I'm sorry, I'm totally like coming off of the word that they use for it. And now I'm like trying to look at it right now. It's burden. Sorry. Burden is what they call it. Right. And it's like This came up. There's a whole article on it in 2021 where they came up with this way to measure a player's usage, because sometimes if a player's a very high usage player, you can their G plus or their G plus can look a little bit negative, because the more touches you get, the more likely you are to have negative touches as well, right? And so your efficiency tends to go down the higher your usage rate is, which can limit your ability to have extremely positive, but also extremely negative as well. It keeps the floor fairly high as well. And so it was related to the whole Alejandro Pozuelo for MVP in 2021 conversation, where he had aggregated a lot of positive numbers, but his G plus and things like that weren't that significant. And it's sort of looked at, and his burden was extremely high, like his usage rate was extremely high, and so he was tasked with such a large proportion of Toronto's attack that it made his efficiency look a little less high, less good in comparison to some other MVP candidates. And so it's this sort of measurement to just kind of give you an idea of how much of a team's, attacking load, let's say, is being sort of put on a certain player. And the thing that made Paul's post so interesting to me is he specifically talked about central mids and D mids, like which of these have the highest burden above average. Like, there's an average amount across all central midfielders across the league. Which ones have the highest above average per 96 minutes of central mids and D mids in the final third? Like, as in, their actions in the final third are significantly more higher proportion that they're required to do something in those circumstances to try and create, offensive opportunities. And the highest central mid in all of MLS in 2025 on a per 96 basis above average in burden is Jake Davis. Which is kind of an it's an interesting thing for me to think about, because it sort of highlights to me the limitations in this roster.
Yeah.
The fact that Jake Davis is the one that is the most influential in the final third of all central midfielders.
Yeah.
As far as or is tasked with the most responsibility for influence in the final third of central midfielders in MLS, because that is not a player you necessarily want having that much burden, right? Like, that is not necessarily a good thing. There are some playing style, parts of this as well. Mano Garcia is high on this list. Zoran Basong is way higher in this list than he ever should be, right? Memo Rodriguez on a per 96 basis is very high. He doesn't have that many minutes. So there's a lot of Sporting Kansas City central mids that actually have fairly high burden, because of the fact that so many of their possessions sort of are in start or near or in the final third because of their counter pressing and because of their long ball play, and because they generally don't do shit once they get there. So there's a lot of
the burden falls when the burden isn't being taken and handled by the forward line, then it automatically falls back to central midfielders, and it definitely that slack wasn't ever being picked up really by fullbacks either, and so
and Denbei's pretty high on it, believe it or not, but.
I believe it, but just in terms of just overall, and Denbei's not Kai Wagner, is I think my point, right? Is he's not so you have to be able to generate attacks somehow, and so on that hand, it doesn't really surprise me that Davis is high. It does surprise me that he is so much higher above average than anybody else, but. I mean, that it just underlines what a terrible job the construction of this roster turned out to be. Like, it there's no way that player should be handling that proportion of the attacking burden, and you can't expect to have a good team when that's the case. It's like that simple.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, I don't know that it's necessarily like a positive for Jake.
No, it's not.
That he rates that high. His peers are really good midfielders. I will say that. Like, I mean, the guys around him are Edu Lewin and Dylan Shambo and Brian Gutierrez. Those are all fairly good midfielders, right?
Nobody. I mean, nobody puts Jake into like that level of like creative attacking threat. No.
Mm-mm. No. But I mean, I think it also shows Cameron actually was able to pull the plot chart like of his game by game his game by game measurements for his burden, and they're all like there's no super high ones out there. There's a couple that are lower, but the distribution isn't like he gained a ton of this burden from one or two games where he was very, very involved. It was just very even across the board. And which I think also relates to kind of my assessment of Jake, which is fairly high floor, pretty low ceiling.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Yeah.
And I think that also speaks to the fact that I think he will be a valuable player for this team in the future, just not one with that much responsibility.
Yeah, I think he has a very valuable place on a roster. I'm not convinced that he is a starting caliber player at any position for an MLS contending team for sure.
It depends on who's around him. An MLS
I think
it depends on who's around him.
Sure, absolutely. That's a very powerful caveat. But I think that just generally speaking, I think that position can and should be upgraded. I mean, the problem is that is the problem that we've talked about before with regards to Manu. What is a midfield with both Manu and Jake look like? And it's hard. That's a difficult puzzle to solve, frankly, in a way that doesn't leave you, wide open defensively.
It has to be a 4-3-3 with like a real zone controlling six. Like you have to have that to make that work. Jake is too much of a box to box guy who really wants to be the fourth or fifth guy in the box attacking for him to be alongside Manu in a double pivot. That just doesn't work. Unless you're going to collapse your lines like Columbus does when they get into the final third. Cameron actually said this to me, and I thought it was a really good way of describing it, because Columbus also has like Dylan Shambo is up there, and their wing backs are up there as well as far as their burden. Columbus is able to create a bunch of possession in the final third where their elite attackers can take over.
Yeah.
Sporting creates a bunch of possession in the final third. Their lines get ultra compressed while they try to find a breakthrough, which leaves them wide open to counterattack, which they are ill-equipped to manage. And so I think that perhaps the game model philosophy isn't necessarily bad. They're just the players aren't there to execute it. Like they need more talent to be able to make use of the possessions they're creating. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at all of the statistics related to final third possessions, where their possessions start, their field tilt, all of that stuff is really, really good.
Yeah. Yep.
They just don't have the players to take advantage of those situations. And so I think that there is something to be said for that. Whether I understand the game model or what they're, really trying to do, I do know that they are trying to get the ball as forward as possible, counter press the shit out of the opponent when a transition happens, and get the ball back and then try to recreate another chance. Like that, that has stayed fairly consistent throughout Vermes and then Zavagnin. How they can take advantage of those situations more effectively and create real quality goal scoring chances is the problem. And they've been reliant on Dejan Joveljic doing Dejan Joveljic things in order to score. And that's not a, you know, consistent enough way to get enough goals to win games. Especially when your defense is so porous that any transition event becomes a giant scoring chance for your opponent.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so that just leaves again a lot to be done in terms of player acquisition in the off season, right? Because you have to find a way to snuff out counterattacks while also, increasing the efficiency of attacking in the final third. And guess what? Like most of the football clubs in the world are trying to do that same kind of thing. And
Right.
so that's where you make your money if you're a new CSO, right? I mean, it's about finding someone, the right coach and the right players who can fit together to make headway, at least on those two things.
You have to hope that a truly good attacking right winger will help unbalance the opponent enough that perhaps some of these other quality attacking players will have a little more space. Like I do think that's a key problem that this team has, is the right side of the attack is just so inept
Yep.
that they're not able. So like a fullback, a winger, and probably a better version of Jake Davis on the right side of the midfield is all really needed. And if they're able to create that on that side of the field, that perhaps Shallowy, who we know is a good player, will be able to be a more effective. Manu will be able to find more pockets within which to roam. Like I think that's the other problem, is like he's basically covering the whole field by himself, trying to find a place to operate in. And it's just too much responsibility given to too few players.
You can really quickly and easily, I think, talk yourself into, if Sporting can get an elite right winger and a elite adjacent number 6, like automatically they're way better, probably a playoff team. And because those two positions just in and of themselves like do go a long way towards solving problems in the attack and in defense, and so like those are priority positions, especially if you're going to try and keep, for instance, Manu and Davis on the field. If you're going to do a run of 4-3-3, then that defensive midfielder has to absolutely be the, like, I don't know, 1B priority right after an attacker.
I mean, both have to be addressed. Maybe one will get addressed better than other. Who knows? We were just talking before we started recording, and here you get your weekly discussion about Tottenham Hotspur. But the Joao Paulinho has probably been the biggest signing for Tottenham this offseason, because they are much more effective in cutting out significant goal scoring chances for opponents and creating problems for them on those. They were just. They were so bad. They were so bad at D mid last year, and getting a Joao Paulinho. He's not a worldy D mid. No. He's not Rodri, but Jesus Christ, he makes Yves Bissouma look like fucking Jose Mauri. Like he's so much better than what they've had, and it just raises the floor of the team like so much when you have a useful defensive midfielder on the field.
It's really amazing, and honestly, it's one of those things that I don't think I've not yet seen a statistical model that really captures how important that player can be for teams. And boy, it's just like you can see it, like teams that have that player in that position, they're just automatically, it makes everybody else's job easier on the field.
Just to make Sam happy, we'll say something nice about Arsenal. When they got Declan Rice, it raised their fucking levels significantly. Significantly.
And he's not even like a true 6, right? He's more.
He's not.
He's more box to box.
He was at West Ham. He's a box to boxer with a lot of defensive skill, right? Yeah. Like he's not really even playing as a 6 for Arsenal, but he has those capabilities, right?
Sure, he
and
does.
that made them immediately significantly better.
He's a midfield controller, right? I mean, these are players who can control the midfield, and they can shut the door completely on attacks through the midfield, and they can also facilitate attacking through the midfield. And so, I think that when we look at MLS players who are able at least to do the defensive side of that, players like Andres Cubas and Novoto in Cincinnati. I mean, those are players who who really raise the floor of their teams, and it's
part of the reason I'm kind of high on Cincinnati figuring it out in the playoffs, is because Nwoboto is going to be back. Like that's a big thing for them. But yeah,
it's an absolutely huge thing, and so yeah, like that is I mean, you and I have been like pleading with the team forever to buy a player like that, and so like I guess like nothing changes, right? Especially if the team's not going to go with a double Tibbet.
Well, nothing changed during Peter Vermeer's tenure, right?
That's
like
true.
we have to be like at least give David Lee the opportunity to address this problem.
Well, I
find it hard to believe he doesn't recognize the monumental nature of the problem they have right now.
Yeah, it's a huge problem, but it's a problem that could have easy solutions, because you can upgrade the talent anywhere, right? So like if that elite defensive midfielder isn't available, then you have the option of going more towards a double pivot, and at least at this point in time, it seems like that is an option, and it's not like 4-3-3 until the wheels come falling off the bus.
For sure, I'm not sure how much I like Manu as a real 10, but
yeah, I don't either. We've talked about that too, but I mean that's just, at some point you're going to have to make a trade-off, and if that's just it. At some point, because if you roll into a season with a substandard defensive midfielder, then you're especially if you haven't upgraded the center backs, then you're still looking at a lot of problem with transition defense. And so it's squad building, and it's one of the one of the things that's really going to be interesting about how the club approaches this offseason, because we're going to really going to get a good, I think, window into Lee's approach to squad building, and to the things that he prioritizes, and frankly to the amount of money that the club is willing to spend, and so it's going to be just super fascinating to sit back and watch.
Yeah. You're right, just because there's so many areas to address.
Yeah.
And obviously the D-mid is one of them, but center back is another one of them. Like the spine of this team is basically only solved in one position.
Yep. And even that position is, it's just a good offer away from, being another issue.
I hear where that, so I've heard more about this. I would be very surprised to see him move. Like, God offer is going to have to come, I think, for that to happen. That's not to say that maybe a crazy offer from a team that Joveljic really wants to go to. I think that would be the difference, right? Where it's not just 15 million from XYZ team. It's 15 million from this team that he did, like kind of like when Cucho wanted to go to Spain, right? Like when the offer came for Cucho to go to Valencia. Was it Valencia or Villarreal? I can't remember. Valencia. It was like Columbus couldn't say no because Cucho wanted to go so badly. And I think in that type of circumstance would be the only time you'd see Joveljic leave. In my based on kind of my read of the situation. I think that the talk that Weeby made about it was more just stuff he heard, that they were getting offers and new CSO could make choices. And it was just, it's more intrigue and discussion topic than it is like legitimate potential. Right?
Sure.
And it created a bit of a row.
Sure.
Which was, I think, what it was meant to do. Not necessarily like be reporting of some kind.
Yeah. And I agree with you, but I think it's just important to always keep in mind that is a possibility, right?
Well,
like
it's a possibility for literally any player on the roster, and we have a CSO in place that is going to make those decisions when needed.
Yep.
And we're going to probably see a lot more player turnover than we've ever become accustomed to, because Vermees was so reticent to make those types of changes.
Yep.
And this is when you are maybe at best the bottom of the top 10 in leagues in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in the 8 to 12 range, I would say, is probably where most people would put MLS. You are not in a position not to participate in the global market that includes selling players. Like, you have to be. And there was another interesting thing that Cameron put up in the Discord talking that kind of went through how much teams paid for per point in MLS this season.
Yeah.
Like there, and it was only roster salaries, so it was salaries specifically. And I thought it was interesting because Sporting with their DPs is obviously giving out a lot of salary to their two DPs, so they're fairly high on the salary spent on the roster side. And NYCFC is not, because they're not paying much for their DPs. Most of them are younger. But NYCFC was in the like top 5 as far as dollars spent per point, like least amount of dollars spent per point. And so it was just sort of an interesting thing to look at about how Lee had been successful. And I think Cameron said at the time, is like, this doesn't really take into account, spending, transfer fee spending, right? And I was like, well, look, NYCFC has actually been in the green in transfer fee spending over the last 3-4 years. So you could argue that they're actually even better in this metric than Sporting is, because Sporting is all in the red. They have no outgoing transfers. They only have incomings that they've spent money on. So the cash for the fee for Manu and Shoppy, like the only, like, they had Caden Pierre for $1 million to Belgium, $1 million-ish, and the last one before that was like, what, Busio? I mean, I think there was a small one in there. Did they get a fee for Chinese? I don't think they did. Anyway.
Oh, well, they sold Pulido. Don't forget that one.
That's true. They did get money for Pulido. I shouldn't forget that, because that is like, if they were taking, if there was voting for most savvy front office move of the year, that one wins by a landslide.
Yeah.
So yes, they did get a fee back for Pulido, but yeah, I mean, they're still well in the red in transfer spending over the last several years, and NYCFC is not. So I think that we're going to see a different philosophy towards transfers and transfer spending than we're used to. That doesn't mean it's wrong. That just means it's something we haven't seen as fans of this team, and it's something we're going to have to adjust to. But yeah, that does mean that every player is available.
Yeah.
Just the way it goes.
That's okay.
Right?
That's that's what it means to be a football player in almost, or a football fan in almost every club in the entire world.
You know what else is going to happen? Next season, new coach, new players, new system, new game model, etc., etc. There are going to be some players that are under contract for a while that don't fit.
Yeah, that's true.
And David Lee's going to find a place for them to go.
Yeah. That's true too.
It's just how this shit works, man. And I think we're just so insulated from that because it just has not been a way that Sporting Kansas City has gone about business for the entirety of Peter Vermees' time in charge.
No, everything about how they've conducted themselves has been very insular, very sort of separated, even, in to some degree from the rest of MLS, right? Like, it's like Peter Vermees doesn't have a coaching tree. It's not like, there's the club has brought in other MLS players very successfully, and it's not like players have left Sporting Kansas City and went on to rousing success at other MLS teams necessarily. So, like, I don't know. I feel like there's just a whole new world awaiting
I hope so.
Fans of this club. I hope so too, man. I hope so too.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that there is a reason for optimism in that regard, and certainly like renewed, sort of like refreshed mindset towards how we view this team that will make it different and interesting. In ways that, honestly, this team has not been for 4 years now. Yeah. Like, they've just been sort of the same and boring and almost a little bit frustrating.
Look, man.
Well, not almost. They have been frustrating.
I'm afraid because if we can talk for 2 hours about this boring ass team that it's the same shit that we've seen for two, like I don't even know what's gonna happen at the beginning of next season when everything's new. It could be super dangerous.
I mean, we've regurgitated the same takes quite a bit.
This is very true.
So it will be nice to have fresh ones, and even if we can't get to all of them in 1 week, I'll just take notes and we'll get to them in the next
speak
week.
for yourself. I'm planning on keeping the old stuff. I'm bringing, you know.
You always you have a long memory, that's for sure. So I'm sure you will be able to.
Only for certain things.
So we'll see. We'll see when those announcements come and what they are, and then we can really start sort of spitballing areas, and I can start scouring transfer market and free agent lists and whatnot for the types of positions they might be addressing.
A new Football Manager drops in like a month, so we can just
the beta drops tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
I'm not getting on the beta. I have too many other games I need to finish before I'm fired up Football Manager. But it does look fun. It looks even more likely to absorb the entirety of all of my free time, which means I probably shouldn't get it.
I don't know if I can handle it. I'm pretty certain that I can't, and so I might have to stay away.
It has in and out of possession tactics now.
Yeah, that's not good. It's not. I had TikTok on my phone for literally 24 hours, and I was like, I cannot handle it.
You scrolled it too long. It absorbed your brain for too long.
I will spend so much time on this, and I was watching stupid shit like
it's not actually good. I
was watching guys cleaning cast iron pans and people, putting flooring in like old conversion vans to turn.
So you were definitely on like old dad TikTok is what you were on.
Drew, I am who I am. I can't escape that. Thank God I didn't find a Costco TikTok, or I might still be on that bitch.
Or a bird watching TikTok.
Oh yeah, that would be bad too.
Yeah. I think anyway, Football Manager, we'll see. I'm not going to get too far, but I do think, me, I will be firing up all kinds of any type of scouting mechanism I might have for the types of players they might be looking at. And I do think South America is much more open than it has been in the past.
Oh, thank goodness.
Because of Lee's history and connections there, recruiting from that area. So that will also help as well, I think. No more weird, slow European midfielders.
Sometimes good players come out of South America. It's weird.
Every once in a while. It's weird, right? All right, let's move on to potpourri. Just like your favorite Jeopardy category, we got a couple topics in and around the sporting Kansas City Alma Soccer Sphere, and the negative tone of this podcast continues as Temwa Chawinga goes down with an injury, and the current lose kind of a ball don't go in game. Honestly, like they didn't like dominate this game, but they certainly deserved to at least get a goal from it, and didn't. And Chawinga goes down in the first half. Posts on her Instagram that she will not be going to her national team, who is trying to get into Africa Cup of Nations, because she has an adductor injury. I don't remember if they ever actually qualified what her injury was before, but it was an upper leg muscle injury, which sort of is, kind of the adductor type of thing.
Yeah.
So it feels a little bit like what she has been managing for a while. And I had questions about this, and so did a lot of people on social media. And then some of it's Monday morning quarterbacking, but still, it's like, Flacco, why are we doing this? Like, why are you putting a player out there who is still obviously not completely fit from an injury she's been dealing with most of the year in a game that literally doesn't matter?
Well, I think that you answered it, right? It's something she's been dealing with, and so she's also a competitive player, and she's a cornerstone of the team. And if it's something that she has been managing, then you would think that she would be okay to go out there and then maybe be one of the first players off, and that obviously bit them all in the ass. And if the thing is I think that I'm not super familiar with adductor injuries just in general, but if it's one of those things that it just kind of has to be managed, and you're not going to necessarily get better by not playing, unless you don't play for like 6 weeks, then like there's really no point, right? Like that shit could happen anytime, even in practice. And so I don't know. I guess I'm giving Vlatko maybe a little bit more benefit of the doubt. And I would throw Chewinga in that too, because I don't, I would imagine that she wants to play, and she knows her own body better than anybody.
Can I get on the conspiracy theory mountain for a
Do
minute?
it. Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
Because just like this podcast has been very dour and sad, and I want to do something entertaining here. So, also what just happened recently, Daniel Sperry reported that Dabinia is not going to Brazilian national team camp now because she picked up a knock in training that they're not super concerned about, but out of precaution, she's going to stay in Kansas City. We know that Temwa has had somewhat of a fraught relationship with her national team and her federation and how they've been treated, and has opted out of call-ups quite a number of times because of her disagreement with how her national team federation treats the women's national team and the conditions that they're asked to play in. We've seen Roger Espinosa do this with Honduras. Remember, Sporting Kansas City actually got in trouble for this at one point, and then Raj, right after that, retired from the national team as to not make it an issue. Conspiracy theorist in me is like, hey, we're competing for an NWSL title, and it means more to me than this whatever call up to this game.
Sure.
I'm quote unquote injured.
Yeah, but in the 29th minute.
Yeah, that part
so
seems a little. I would have thought it'd have been at halftime if that was the case, right? Yeah, coming off in the 29th minute, having to be carried off. Although having to be carried off, and then I guess she was in a wheelchair after the game, so that would be overselling it for sure. I don't know. I just want her to be healthy for the playoffs. That's all.
Yep. Yeah. Bubble wrap her and let's put her in a hyperbaric chamber or whatever you got to do. Just get her healthy for the playoffs. And
with the international window plus the one more regular season game, they wouldn't play again until like the 9th, I think, of November. So, or whenever their next game is, I'm sure it's
November 1st.
November 1st is their next home game. That's the last game of the year. When would the first playoff game be?
I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
Anyway, kind of sucks that they're doing Temwa bobblehead night at that game too, and then she's going to be injured. But
that's a sweet bobblehead. I want it.
It's awesome. Yeah, kind of makes you want to go to the game. Although they're only giving out 5,000 of them, so you better get there early if you're planning on trying to go get a Temwa bobblehead at Temwa bobblehead night. Get to the game early for sure. Yeah. I just, like I said, I'm hopeful that it is not serious so that they can, have her at some level of health when the playoffs begin. That is my main hope and goal. There were also some other changes on the U.S. women's national team because Lo LaBonta made her way into camp. So now we have Lo, Claire Hutton, Allie Sentner, and Michelle Cooper are all in the women's national team camp. So we will have something to watch for there as the ladies are coming to Kansas City for one of those games, right? Isn't one of those games here?
I think so. I don't know. I was busy looking up the NWSL fine.
They're playing against New Zealand on the 29th of October.
There you go.
At CPKC Stadium.
It's just riveting podcasting.
It is. I was trying to lead you there so you could say like, oh yeah.
The playoff schedule, by the way, is not even out yet. So all it says is that quarterfinals will take place on November 7th through 9th. And the semifinals.
That's what I was gonna say. It'll be somewhere in that window, depending on scheduling and availability. I mean, the nice thing with the current is they have their own stadium, so I think the NWSL can put them wherever they want on that schedule, but it'll be also reliant on those other teams and when they're able to schedule their games. I'm sure. But yeah, the part I didn't realize is they're actually playing 3 games in this window. So they have 2 games against Portugal, and then so one is in Philadelphia at the Union Stadium. Another one is in Hartford, Connecticut at Rentschler Field. And then the 29th, they're playing New Zealand here in Kansas City.
All right.
And I believe you can still buy tickets for that match if it's something you would like to see. So it's kind of cool that the women's national team is playing at that stadium. For sure.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it will end up sold out and very raucous and very fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of Kansas City players will be on the team, and I'm sure getting some time on the field. Emma's been pretty good about that, when they're at somebody's home stadium, letting that player at least get a cameo at the least. So I think, outside of that, you hope that this is just a blip on the radar for the current. I would prefer them to get this loss out of their system now.
Amen.
So it will probably get them fired up. And we'll see how this international break goes in that last game of the season on the 1st. MLS playoffs are kicking. Well, have the playoffs kicked off as we speak. It's the play-in game. So is it the playoffs? It's kind of like those 64 to 68 games in March Madness. Do those count as part of the?
I'm a playoff truther. I'm going to say no. Play-in games do not count.
Okay. I unless tend to agree with you.
Unless it's my team, and then it's definitely a playoff.
I see.
I just want to be honest. I just want to be honest.
I mean, hey, let's be transparent with each other. So Chicago Orlando has not kicked off yet as we're recording this, but that will be game 1.
Because why would it? Why would it list the first kick at 7:30 and then at 7:40 and it still isn't started yet?
It's only MLS that does this because all European games they kick off right when they say they're supposed to. It
is so frustrating. I hate it so much, man. It was like the game on Saturday. It was like 8:00. Oh, actually. First kick isn't until like 8:15.
Yeah, it was 8:15. I mean, thankfully, we know enough people that can get us the actual kickoff time. But yeah, it sucks. Like, why list it at 8?
It's just
especially
dumb.
when the thing that doesn't make any sense to me is it's all on Apple TV.
Right.
You are the TV partner.
Right. It's not Fox. Doing their
it's not Fox Sports saying we want Alexi Lalas to say what the fuck ever for the next 20 minutes, so you have to wait to kick off the game. It's quite literally you have complete control over everything, and yet we still do this.
I wonder why. Someone who is a member of the TSS Discord should ask that question.
The TSS Discord? I mean, I can just ask Chad Reynolds. I'm sure he can tell me. Because he used to work with all the production guys. Because all the production of those still doesn't. It's a local crew that does the production of every game. Right. And obviously Brad Martell did it here in Kansas City forever before. Now he does Sunday Night Soccer for Apple, but he did that here for the local broadcast here forever. So I'm sure one of those guys can tell us why they do it that way. But it is kind of dumb. But I'm so used to it. I just know every home game is actually going to be 7:38.
Right.
The 8:00 decision day one being 8:15 was a little new, but thankfully Mr. Sperry was able to let us know in the Discord prior to, so we knew what the time frame was. This is your reminder. Join the Discord and you'll know when the kickoff is. Link is in the show notes. So yeah, I mean, MLS playoffs. Is there anybody that you're I don't want to say rooting for, but most interested in watching play well?
Um, I don't know. Like I'm super interested in Inter Miami just because they're kind of the villains of the story now, and I think that makes things a little bit fun and interesting. And given what happened last year, their early exit to Atlanta, there's just a little bit of, I think, nervousness around them. And they have the greatest player of all time. I don't know if you knew that, and so. Uh,
Greatest player of all time?
you
Do
look so
they?
surprised.
Hideo Allende? Really?
So yeah, I'm interested in that. I mean, obviously, Hell is Real is that series is exciting. I'm interested to see what LAFC does in the off season in the postseason, since they have Sun playing for them now, and their attack's kind of a buzzsaw. So, I mean, I think that there's plenty of interesting teams and interesting storylines, and then even the teams that aren't like top billing, I think there's fascinating things going on. Like who knows what's going on in Minnesota? They've kind of fallen off, but just they play a style of soccer that I think really lends itself to to playing in playoffs, especially if they get past the first round. And so yeah, I'm just like I think that this is one of those years where there's actually a lot of really interesting things going on, and I'm looking forward to checking in on all of it. I mean, honestly, like if Nashville can get by Inter Miami, like Nashville becomes like super interesting at that point, right? Like
I could see
'cause
Nashville
that's
going to the final if they can get by Miami.
absolutely, and who knows what's going to happen with Philadelphia, especially now that Sullivan's out, and it. I think everybody, not I wouldn't say everybody, but I think that there are a fair number of people who kind of expect maybe the wheels to fall off San Diego FC in the playoffs, and so that's an interesting storyline, and yeah, just this is lots of interesting things going on.
There's
Imagine what if Diego Rubio's Austin knocks off LAFC in the first round? Wouldn't that be amazing?
in a 3-game series, Austin's going to beat LAFC twice.
I'm just saying, what if? I'm not predicting it. I'm just saying I'm rooting for chaos, I guess, because
There are a lot of being MLS. There are a lot of matchups where I could see going either way. It's just the nature of MLS. Doesn't matter if you won the Supporters Shield and are going against quote unquote the worst team in your conference.
Yep. That's not one of them.
there are a lot of circumstances where you could see either team winning. I could certainly see Nashville figuring out a way to get 2 games off of Miami. Miami's defense, and I don't even know if their defense is that bad. It's the fact that only 4 people defend on their team that is the problem. And a team like Nashville with Mukhtar and Surridge will absolutely murder an opponent who does not team defend.
Yep.
So now granted, Miami did come back in a big way on decision day against Nashville and just sort
Speaking
of put
of
them
murders.
to bed. Yeah, put them to bed. And Messi went messy, right? I think that is always going to be the X factor in Miami games, is like how ridiculous does Messi get in the game, right? And we'll see. We'll see how all of that pans out. But yeah, of all of the games where I'm like, yeah, it could go either way, Austin taking 2 off of LAFC.
But it would be hilarious. You have to admit it would be hilarious.
Some things would have to happen. Some absurd things would have to happen, right? Like we're talking injuries or red cards or things like that, right?
Yeah.
It would have to happen, I think, for that to be realistic. But, I mean, it's not impossible, right? But I don't think on the balance of talent that is something that is likely to occur.
No.
What I'm actually looking forward to is if Chalk makes it through on that side of the bracket of the West, is LAFC Vancouver in the semifinals.
Oh, yeah.
That game could be pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. Amen.
And it will be in BC Place. So that will be good. And that they'll open the top. They'll open the top of that stadium and put 50,000 in there for that. And that will be fucking cool.
That would be good.
So I am excited for that one. Like, that could be one of the better playoff matchups we've seen in a long time. Yep. Like, those 2 teams, the way they play, just sort of plays off each other so well that it's hard to believe that will be a dud of any kind.
No, that feels like big time soccer too, right? Like no matter what Austin tries to do, like they're not big
They will
time.
not play soccer. They will literally play zero
So-
soccer.
so-
for the entirety of the time they're in the playoffs, they will play no soccer. So, and that's what will make that matchup with LAFC, to your point, kind of difficult, because LAFC struggles to break down a team on their own, right? They have a similar problem to Sporting Kansas City, where they don't really have a lockpicker of any kind. And so they really rely on using Son and Boanga in space. And if they can't get them in space, it does sort of neuter their offense a little bit. So it will be interesting to see how they manage that. But I also think those two guys are too good. I mean, I will say Austin's back four is really solid. So the matchup is bad. I would agree with you from that perspective.
Oh, you can put back five in there as well with the goalkeeper. So.
Right. Yeah, Stuver is fantastic goalkeeper as well. So like I understand the matchup is not the greatest for LA, but I just think that it's unlikely that Austin figures out how to get two of them. And if it was a single elimination game, anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
I'm with you on that, but having to win 2 out of 3, I struggle to see it there. But there's a bunch of great matchups. Similarly with San Diego, they're going to have to play Seattle, although I found out after I filled out my bracket that Pedro de la Vega is out for the playoffs.
That's a rough one.
Broken kneecap?
Yeah. That sounds painful. It sounds terrible.
It reminds me, I was watching New Heights. They had Keanu Reeves on as a guest on the New Heights podcast. They're getting the weirdest guests. The Kelsey brothers have the weirdest guests on their podcast now. Like, I didn't even know Keanu Reeves did podcasts. I don't think I've ever seen him do much of a significant long form interview.
I heard him play. I heard him and his band in a music podcast, and the interview was interviewing the whole band, and that dude was playing the bass the whole time. You could hear him like plucking on the bass in the background. It was very disconcerting.
Still.
Right.
So I watched the video of him on the podcast, and he can't sit still. Like, the guy is just constantly moving and just all around, and it's like, anyway, the reason I brought this up, apparently, like, he's in this new comedy with Seth Rogen. Like, he's apparently done kicking the shit out of people as John Wick. So he's in this new comedy with Seth Rogen, and something like during the shooting of it, somehow he like tripped weird or whatever and split his patella. Like, and he said it's the first time he's ever been injured on a movie set ever.
He's doing all these action movies, and he does a movie with Seth Rogen.
Wick, The Matrix, like all this nonsense that he's doing. And this is literally the first time he's ever been injured. It's on a comedy, him like tripping on a piece of rug.
That's great.
So anyway, but yeah, he fractured his patella like right through the middle as well. Yikes. So yeah, anyway, it doesn't sound good. He made it very clear how painful it was. So yeah. T's and P's to PDLV. And that will hurt Seattle, like, for sure, right? And Jordan Morris is kind of back, but hasn't been very effective since he's been back, so we'll have to see.
It's time for me to cash in, or really make good on my Jesus Ferreira stock. This could be it, man. This could be his coming out period. Let's go.
You know what's interesting about Seattle, and this is what Seattle is the opposite of Sporting Kansas City in so many ways over the last like 4 years. They have a guy in Jesus Ferreira who is a high TAM player, like max TAM player, and is not performing very well for them. And it's totally fine because they also have Albert Rusnak and Jordan Morris and, prior to his injury, Pedro de la Vega and Georgie Manungu and Paul Rothrock and all these other fucking guys and Christian Roldan and Joao Paulo, who's been injured most of the year, but it's okay because we have Obed Vargas. Like, that's the thing. That this is what good looks like, right?
Yep.
You swing on a high TAM player and it doesn't work out, fine, whatever. You've got all these other guys. When Sporting swings on Nemanja Radia and fails, they don't have anything else. Eric Tommy has been a good but not that great player, right, for this team over his time with the club, but there hasn't been anything behind him. When he's out, the team gets even worse. And
Yeah.
whereas when you look at what Seattle has done with their roster build, they can eat a Max Tam signing that doesn't perform super well because somehow Danny Musovsky is the best striker in the league by underlying numbers.
It's crazy.
Right?
Yep.
And I think that is the difference. Like, and that's the kind of shit that we're looking for with Sporting, is the ability to put together a roster with that level of with that depth of talent on it.
Yeah.
And capable talent on it.
And they're a long, long way away from that, but it's good to have goals, right? It's good to have something to reach for, and just I think the mixture of DP high level TAM players, and then homegrown players, local players, MLS veterans. I think that's like a comprehensive and balanced way to build a roster, and that's why they're still in it, even after having all of the injury issues that they had this year. And
it's why I think they'll still beat San Diego in the semifinals, even without Pedro de la Vega, because I trust them and their setup. Also, San Diego's got this whole situation with Chucky Lozano and whether or not he's going to play. I find it hard to believe he doesn't play in the playoffs, but for those of you unaware, Tom Bogert's got an article on it. I know it's on the Athletic, and I know it's behind a paywall, but Tom's reporting on this, and I want him to get credit for his reporting. So go check that out. And it's an interesting situation with old Chucky. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of interesting storylines, certainly in the Western Conference, which we know a lot more. Eastern Conference, I agree with you. Philly, I'm not sure what to make of them, other than the fact that they seem to just suffocate anyone they play.
I want Philly to do well, because that means St. Louis will be bumming, and anytime that just makes me happy. So
yeah, the Schadenfreude is real. Yeah.
Let's just make that happen.
Yeah, it's just like watching Bradley Carnell's success is wonderful to me.
It would be a perfect year for the Philadelphia Union to win MLS Cup. That's all I'm saying.
What if I told you really the best hire that St. Louis City SC ever made was Bradley Carnell?
I would believe you, because it certainly seems to be that certainly seems to be the case.
I mean, we're doing a little correlation and causation here, but I mean, they were only good when he was there.
This is true.
Just saying.
No lies detected, Drew.
Yes. I will obviously be locked into my boy Heung-min Son.
Yeah.
Because I love seeing Sonny happy. He deserves a league championship. I would like to see him get one here in the States. I would be very happy for him if he got one. Obviously, he got that great Europa League trophy before he left Tottenham, but as everyone will remind me of at any given point in time, Tottenham has not won the league in many, many decades. And Harry Kane is now like absolutely dominating the Bundesliga. Like he's even gone more ham this season than he was last season. And has gotten his league trophies and deserves them. I would like Sonny to get a league trophy. So that is what I will be watching for.
That sounds good. Either way, fans win.
What else do we have to look for? Roster decisions, I guess. Updates on a coaching search. Instagram stories of player vacations. There's not much else to look for. The postseason schedule doesn't even start till November 26th. So we're going to have to come up with some stuff to talk about over the next month. I'm sure there will be some takeaways from the press conference tomorrow, as well as the player decisions I expect, expect, whatever, will be announced by the time we get back together again. So we'll be able to discuss that. Then we're gonna have to find up some new shit to talk about.
We might have to do some, like listener questions, and we might have
it'd be a good time to do some Q&A.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe some silly stuff would be fun. We do tend to be, I don't know about serious is the right word, but certainly we take our analysis seriously when it comes to the information that we bring y'all. So maybe it'll be fun to do some more fun stuff. I don't know. We can workshop that on the Discord, which is another reason for you to go join the Discord if you haven't already. Link is in the show notes. That is where the discussion continues. And until then, I'm Drew. He is Cody. We will talk to y'all next week.
Bye.
Start doing it.